Okay, hello everybody. So this is F. Gardner. I'm here with Labuschagne. He was the winner of the F Games. Pardon me?
Awesome, yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, LA. So your book, Sundowner. Why don't you first off tell us a bit about your book and your journey at the F Games writing it. I know how big of a challenge something like that is, writing a book in such a short amount of time. But yeah, man, you won the title for world's greatest writer and everything. So we have here Labuschagne, the champion of the F Games and everything. So yeah, man, how about I guess start off, let everybody know what you want them to know about your book.
Sure, man. Well, first of all, what is Sundowner, the Resonance episodes? Apart from being the greatest book in the world, because, it won't be the greatest writer in the world championship. Well, essentially, it's a novel about South African residents' life. Similar to the United States and a couple of other places, South Africa has fraternities, but there's very little writing around them. What is it like? What is student life like? And I went to one of them myself when I was studying my bachelor's, and I thought, like every month there was at least one good story. And I thought, why don't I take a couple of those, write them down, and at least then have something to share about this fairly unique experience. And so that's the main thrust of the book. And otherwise, the story basically progresses as we follow a sophomore student throughout the year and his various attempts to basically just party as hard as possible.
Did you pull a lot of that from your own experience?
I would say so, yeah. A few things are obviously not from my own experience because they are illegal, and I'd like to think I'm a little smarter than publicly committing to crime on YouTube. But a lot of it, especially the more lighthearted stuff and the banter, is more or less pulled one for one. Obviously names have been changed to protect the innocent and disguise the guilty.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. How would you say, what sets this apart from other books you've written? Like, what do you think will make this unique? I have my own thoughts on that, but what would you say, though, as the author of the material?
Yeah. Well, so far, for anyone not in the know, I currently have 3 books out: Sundowner, and then 2 others: Sociopath, Prima Donna Girl, which is a young adult thriller, and Shaman, Marching Dusk, which is a sword and sorcery epic. And I'd say what separates Sundowner from them is essentially the scale and the protagonist, because one thing I've really tried to do with this book is, as much as possible, in the setting and the fact that, a few things just need to be translated or explained, it's a lot more down to earth. There's no crazy card chases. There's, no 1,000-year-old conspiracy. It focuses more on real-life events that have either happened to me or have happened to somebody I know, or hell, I've heard about, or just could plausibly happen given the ingredients of South Africa and fraternities. So I'd say that's a major difference, is that I'd say this is the book of everything I've written so far. If one could happen, it's this one. And I'd also say, with the protagonist, I've focused a lot more on the development of the personality and the exploration of the world. Because, all my books are set in the same continuity. You can read them in any order. But this one has a lot more world building, and if you're interested in that, and the story that goes into this old history South Africa, this is where I really recommend you start.
Cool, yeah, man. And were you born and raised in South Africa?
Well, I'm South African by citizenship, but I actually grew up in Kenya.
Oh, okay. I don't think I knew that. Cool. And it's
Yeah,
clearly,
so I only came down to SA to study.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if Labuschagne, or if there was I know there's a lot of Dutch in South Africa, so I wasn't sure what your background was specifically for that. But clearly, South Africa as a whole, I'm assuming, has been a big influence, like in terms of like, like your muse or whatever, right?
Yeah, I definitely say so. Africa in general, I found is, well, that's my home, and I found that it's very fascinating and often a place that is not written about maturely with the diversity and history the continent has. And I'd say South Africa especially because it's just a really fascinating place to live. I mean, for a lot of Westerners, South Africa is a dystopia. Like, you look at it, service delivery doesn't happen. There's not water, there's not electricity guaranteed. The government is much more openly corrupt, and there's a lot more racial and cultural tensions. There's a lot more crime. Compared to somebody from like Washington, D.C. or Toronto, that's dystopia. But on the other hand, compared to the rest of Africa, we have a working economy, we have a functional transport system, we can essentially keep the lights on and we're not dependent on foreign aid. So in that sense, it really straddles these two worlds. And that's something I'm planning to explore a lot more in the re-release of Sundowner. Because right now as the book is, I'm happy with it. But it currently only explores almost one side of South Africa. And the revised version I want to put out is going to look at both sides.
Yeah, it seems like perhaps you saw like the untapped literary potential with South Africa, and that's like what you're doing. That's really cool to hear. And I guess I could kind of relate a little bit in the sense that like I live in Chicago and stuff, and that influenced me for my work. So yeah, that's really cool to hear a fellow author talk about the influence and everything, where they live and everything like that for their own material. Yeah, that's cool. And I wanted to mention how you said you're going to have other editions. That sounded like a really innovative approach. Could you elaborate on what that would entail? Like you're going to like sort of expand? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I wrote this for the F Games Championship, which, for reference, how fast can you write a 50,000 word novel? So, I wrote a lot of it. I had the idea kicking around my head for a couple of years, and I had a basic idea of what scenes I wanted to put in and what stories I wanted to tell. But, I hit about 51K, and that was the bare minimum for the story I wanted to tell, to at least make something coherent. But that's also not the story I think the book fully tells, and there are a lot of other ideas and pieces that I wanted to put in, sort of like a director's cut. And so what I'm currently doing now is revising Sundowner so that it's the book, I fully think the world deserves and the book I'm fully content with. So that's probably another 20,000 words in total to really flesh everything out and, tell the full story of Rev Talleyrand and the Prim 10 fraternity.
That's awesome. Yeah, man, I dig it. Yeah, like a director's cut. That's very seldom done, like that sort of thing. Like the only other thing I could think of is I remember a long time ago Stephen King put out, it was kind of a director's cut of The Stand. That's the only thing I could think of. Yeah. But that's...
Yeah, I know, for instance, that... And I'm going to look like a real moron because I forgot the name of the book. Dorian Gray, the picture of Dorian Gray was re-released with a lot of what is actually cut content due to the censorship laws of the late 1800s. But yeah, I don't think it's done much. And I would say part of that is with traditional publishing, there's no money in re-releasing a book like that.
Ah, I see.
But, if we're self-publishing or publishing online, we can take things down and edit them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. In fact, I would encourage it, like, more than anything, like, because, like, you clearly saw the potential in it, you're doing it. It's, like, untapped potential in the sense that nobody really does it anymore, and if you're self-published, well, first off, self-publishing, like, a lot of people say, like, that's the way to go and everything, like, what we're talking about, untapped potential. Like, it's a whole new, day and age and everything, like with all the indie authors and everything. And that could be more than worth doing. Returning to something that's never really been done outside of just a couple instances, like you mentioned, and then like I mentioned The Stand. So that'd be really cool to see more director's cut kind of books. I wanted to ask too. What was your? Did you have a daily routine? I seem to remember hearing somebody mentioned you pulled at least one all-nighter.
Yeah, I ended up pulling about 5 all-nighter strikers.
Wow. Yeah,
which
that's
was not healthy.
Huh.
Like, yeah, so, I didn't have much of a routine. I set myself the challenge of, I wanted to do this. And at the start of the year, I'd also made the New Year's resolution, I want to put out my 3rd book this year. Because, like, the thing with the background for this is I'd written my first 2, or at least the first drafts of them while I was in high school, before I dropped out. And I hadn't, just because, I was busy with my college degree since then, I hadn't had the time to sit down and write a full novel, or at least not anything that wasn't total dog shit. So, this year I graduated, I thought, all right, LA, write that 3rd book. And so, yeah, my routine was just write. Mostly at night because, like, I had stuff to do during the day, but yeah, just a series of all-nighters, a couple of brief naps, a lot of coffee, a lot of booze, and a lot of nicotine.
Oh, man. Yeah, I can relate in multiple ways there. I get it. Are you a night owl?
I was. I'm trying to work against that, just for scheduling and obligations. Currently, I work part-time, so I can keep a bit of a looser schedule, but, like, from next year onwards, that's not an option, so I don't think I'll be a night owl for much longer. I've enjoyed it while it lasted.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I ask because you mentioned writing at night, and yeah, I'll do much of my writing at night, because, like, you never know when inspiration hits you, and it just so happens, for me at least, sometimes that's like when it comes. And you're obviously a super experienced writer by now, so you know when to act when inspiration hits you. Yeah, any tips you would want to give other writers out there, or people that might consider doing the sort of thing you did?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say with that, in terms of tips, the thing that stuck out to me most there is the first draft is important because, like, that's just getting the writing on the page. And after that, comes the editing, comes multiple drafts, feedback, reviews, and all that. But the first draft is essentially the story you want to tell yourself. Which often, because, or at least for me, the story I want to read is why I'm writing in the first place. But that's not necessarily the story that's really going to be too marketable to anyone else. Or, especially, for me, I've got a big expanded universe everything fits into. So, writing, like, the story I want to read, it's going to have a lot of references or things that I just know because I invented this. But it's not necessarily going to be so easy for somebody else to get into. So I would say then, my biggest tip, the first draft is the story you want to read and have been looking for in a book. The final draft is the story you'll actually be comfortable sharing with other people as a standalone piece of media.
Cool.
But in terms of actually, writing something in a short amount of time, the first is practice. Like, the more you do it, the easier it gets. I guess I have a bit of a privilege here because I worked as a content writer for 2 years. Basically, small-time journalism. And so my daily routine was already write 2,000 words a day.
Oh, yeah. That definitely helps.
Yeah. That's more than that. Granted, I was being paid a lot more than that, and, like, immediate gratification goes a long way. But having the skills to know confidently, I can sit down and write 2,000 words on literally any topic. Practicing that kind of thing means, 1, you do have some kind of background or routine in this, and 2, you also proven to yourself that you can do it once and you can do it 10 times in a row. Doing it 30 times in a row is just the next step.
Yeah, well said. What would you say makes this different from previous, like, writing challenges that you may have participated in, whether that be other groups or in just privately. Like some people will say, hey, I'm gonna set out to write, like you said, like 2,000 words a day or 3,000. Like, was this well, other than just the caffeine and nicotine or whatever, things like that, was there anything in
Well, I'd
particular?
say the biggest difference was that I won this one. But hopefully there'll be many more to come on that. I'd say with the F games and a lot of Discord-based competitions, I'd say it's very interesting because it really acts like much more of a community. Because you have everyone on the same, Discord server. Discord, anyone can join a Discord, anyone can post, especially if it's public, like this was.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that you see someone there, it's like, wow, I can talk to them. This is a connection I can make. And it also means there's a lot more feedback and accountability immediately, rather than doing it on another forum or something where either it's a lot larger and less personal, or it's a lot more exclusive and impersonal. So I thought this struck a good middle ground, and I'd be definitely interested to do it again in future.
Cool.
I'm not sure if I'll have the stamina to knock out a book of this proportion in such a short time period, but I'll definitely throw my hat in the ring.
Awesome. Yeah, that's thrilling to hear you say it, like phrase it like that, like the way you said it, like how what makes this different, and I won. And it's hard to put into words, but it's like, so from like my own experience, I know how fulfilling it is to like write a book, and doing something like this, what you did, it makes you feel, well, elite. You won. You're the champion. There's nothing wrong with feeling proud about that.
Yeah.
If it's something that you should feel proud about, great. You've earned it. Like, you've won the title. So yeah, man. I mean, my hat's off to you. You legitimately won, and you're the champion of the F Games. So, F Gardner congratulates you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
It is, yeah. And
it's also, it's...
Oh, go on.
Thanks. Yeah, it's also, I'd say, for hosting it, because it's actually a good incentive to be productive, because, at least from my perspective, that's one of the harder things about being an indie author is there's no guarantee, the book is going to sell. There's no guarantee you're even going to finish it, because, there's nobody holding you to it. But, even if it's just something like bragging rights on the line, like there was for this competition, that's an incentive. And I think that's something that's rare in these circles, and that's to the detriment. So more things like this, I think, definitely help.
Oh yeah, and now that you know that, I mean, you've already written books before, but it sounds like now you really, more than ever, you have the confidence. I can kind of hear it in your voice, and you should have it, because you've proven to yourself, to everybody, that you can do it, and that's something you definitely realize the more you do it. Like how you
exactly.
said,
It's a good pick me up,
mm-hmm.
And it's great communication. I can do it again.
Yeah. Other than Sundowner, do you have anything else on the horizon in terms of, or do you just stick to one book at a time? Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have?
Sorry.
Other than Sundowner, are you working on other titles, or do you just stick to one book at a time?
Well,
because that's what I usually just do, one book at a time. But I know some people that'll do multiple projects simultaneously.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting on a couple of ideas. I've got a whole Google document with 30 ideas in it. But I am seriously working on another 2 projects, which should, inshallah, come out probably middle of next year and end of next year. So, probably September 2024 and November 24.
Awesome.
And the first one is going to be a novella, and that's going to be much more into the fantasy side of the universe, set, the fantastic dreamlands, following a genie warrior fighting through a magical arena, aiming to claim the greatest prize of all, literally a wish.
Awesome.
And so that's going to be the novella, probably come out September, called Stigmata, Despite the Gods.
Ah, another
And
title.
then,
Another title with an S. Is that a coincidence?
Yes.
I remember somebody pointing that out somewhere. Or is
yeah,
that deliberate?
all my books have titles that start with an S. And
Cool.
it's because I'd like to think my writing is S tier.
Ah, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be Stigmata, and then end of next year, I am to get Sylvia finished. Sylvia, not a prima donna girl, which is sort of a response to the first book I wrote, which was Sociopath, Prima Donna Girl. Basically, looking at sort of youth culture in this alternate South Africa, and sort of the effect of wealth and colonialism on society. And, the twist on this one is that the protagonist, instead of being a sociopath, is autistic, which I know is basically then looking at how would a person in a very similar situation, but with a completely different mindset, navigate the issues at hand. And so the novel itself will play out as a mystery, with a lot of magical realism thrown in for good measure.
A mystery with an autistic protagonist. I don't think I've ever read a story like that before.
Yeah, I was inspired by the incident of, let me think, what is it called? The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which was actually a book, a mystery novel with an autistic protagonist, and I thought, well, this is a very interesting take on this. And I admit I'm not autistic myself, but again, I have done my research. I do have, for what it's worth, several autistic friends and family. And so, obviously, it's going to be proofread for accuracy and whatnot. But the idea was more saying, how can somebody who's more obviously on the margins of society for a reason which often isn't considered being marginalized, but I think in realities, mental conditions do marginalize a person.
Mm-hmm.
How would they navigate an issue that others might not even be aware of or really care to investigate?
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people, are probably just unaware of what that would entail and everything. And I don't think there's anything wrong or whatever, of having an autistic protagonist I'm all for pushing boundaries or whatever. Gardner, I don't think anything should be off the table. I'm pretty about as pro free speech as it gets in that regard. And if it's some unexplored or whatever, something that has untapped potential, man, I say go for it.
Great, thank you. Good to have the heads up. Yeah, and so basically my thoughts on those two novels are, well, the first one was, can I write a 20,000 word fight scene? The answer is yes, I wrote it, and now I'm busy editing it, so it's from the 20,000 word fight scene I wanted to read to the one that I'm confident to share with others for mine. And also, I'm starting to put together the greater meta plot of projects. Because, and I'll say this for pretty much everyone I've written so far, including the short stories, you can read them in any order. But there is a greater overarching story behind them. And it's that I want to start fleshing out with Stigmata. And also to a similar extent with Sylvia, because both of them play into sort of the rise of this dream world in the background of everyday society. And from the dream world's perspective, the implications of it bleeding over into the real world, how it affects both sides.
Awesome. Yeah, man, I love it. So, your experience in the F Games, would you like to see more lit, or 4chan for that matter, wide events? There haven't really been that many. That was part of my inspiration for making it, because of both that and National Novel Writing Months of the past and everything. What are your thoughts on?
Well, with that, I'd say, with 4chan, the issue is it's always going to be a bit of a bucket of crabs. And, I'm not sure if I'm exactly fame enough to get crabs yet, but that's never stopped anyone else from getting crabs. So, I definitely think there's a lot of potential, especially in the writing community, or at least, our very specific part of it, to have more events like this. But I think the issue is often we're coming from an infamously hostile and anonymous community. And I think there are always going to be people who are not going to trust this, that it's being done genuinely, or really have faith that it can succeed and make something. I mean, Lit has put out something like 30 books now, so the evidence is there. It is workable. But I also think that for a lot of self-published authors who come from that sphere, we shouldn't restrict ourselves to 4chan. Partially because I don't think there's much money in 4chan. And second, because it is actually a very small audience. So to answer your question, I think the /lit should definitely keep on doing things like this. But I also think that we should be creating communities of our own and not simply sitting on 4chan, which is going to lead to diminishing returns, if it hasn't already.
Is 4chan small? Like, I wonder about that sometimes. This is just kind of my personal opinion, but okay, real talk. Like, everybody I know uses 4chan. Like, people I know, IRL, that I've known for, a long time. I'm in my 30s now, but, people that I've known since high school. And I go on, if I go on Twitter or Facebook, it seems empty, honestly. It makes me, I don't know, maybe that just sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it makes me think I guess it's kind of funny me saying that. I believe in a lot of conspiracies, I guess, yeah, but I don't know, it makes me wonder, are places like Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, are those just filled with bots to give this illusion that, because I go on Facebook and it's I know they're real people, and I don't know, maybe I just happen to know a lot of old time guys that have been on 4chan for forever, but or maybe it's just really
I guess that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. It could be.
Because the way I see it is, I can count the number of people who use 4chan that I've met in daily life probably on 2 hands. But the number of people on Twitter or on Facebook, or at least have an account, I know for a fact is at least in the mid-20s. And I know a lot of people, it's just, I guess people in my social circle are probably more on Instagram. But what I'd say with that is, if you look at the threads on it, I don't disagree with you that 4chan is popular, but if you look at, take any thread on it, you look at how many posters are there compared to a number of replies, you'll find threads of 200 replies, but only, 50 posters.
That's true, but honestly, sometimes that seems, I didn't mean to interrupt you, it just, sometimes that means a little, it seems a little, I don't know, I was going to say arbitrary, but it seems to glitch out sometimes, I've noticed. I don't go on Lit, actually posting as much, at least because of people will realize immediately who I am. But if I go on TV or V and just post anonymous, just join a discussion about something else, I've noticed it'll say the number of posters are 12, and then I'll make another post and it'll say, oh, now it's 13, and I'll think, wait, but I just posted. So I don't know. It seems mysterious to me because when I've noticed that sometimes where it's it's detecting as if I'm another person. It seems almost arbitrary or random. But I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's a valid point. But I would say, even then, if we do think this is a glitchy system, and I fully expect it might be, there's still, I think, the problem of how big is the Lit writing community? Mm-hmm. And how many of those people are going to be motivated to consistently participate? And I think that's a different question. And I mean, the F games are the jewel for me, but if we look at it, I think we had like, let's say, 15 people actively, consistently posting in the server and participating once the actual writing began.
Yeah, that's kind of like I mean, it's possible for anybody to write a book, but yeah, within like
Yes.
a month, like that's kind of the make it or break it point is you need to be consistent about something like that. You need to tell yourself that you can do it. Not just that, but you need to believe it. Like you need to like believe that you're going to do it, and like however you want to phrase that, like manifest that and everything. So yeah, there's definitely truth.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true.
Oh, speaking
If
of,
anything, what I think the potential for these writing competitions in future is probably maybe something like two weeks or 4 months at a time, and at that point do short story competitions, because that I think is a lot more accessible, and it's also far fewer obligations. Like you can write a short story in a day if you're really committed.
yeah, that could be really.
That's going to be, I think, a lot easier for people to get involved with than writing an entire novel in a month.
Yeah, that could definitely be something interesting to explore, like a short story version of sort of, I don't know if you would call it short story month or what, but yeah, there could be some sort of variation on it. That would make sense. Oh, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, since we're talking on Discord, you have your YouTube channel linked. Is that something you'd like to talk about? I noticed you do like fortune telling and stuff. How'd you get into that, if I may ask?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think. Yeah, so with that, what's basically my side hustle is I read tarot cards. I wouldn't call it exactly fortune telling. I see it far closer to creative counseling and creative consulting. And essentially, I just got into it a while back on, what's the most fun you can have with a deck of cards that doesn't consistently lose you money? And, well, that's probably doing tarot readings. It's got a bit of a talent for it, and, it's a nice way to give people advice in some direction in life. And it's also just a fun thing. You can collect the cards. There's a lot of ways to get inspiration for writing, I found, especially from it as well. Because it's literally just putting down random symbols and ideas and forcing yourself to come up with some kind of narrative that explains them. And if you want to do a tarot reading on what book should I write next, you can do that. I've done that for a couple of short stories, actually, is putting down tarot cards to figure out the direction and angle of things.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have much experience with tarot. I've read like the I Ching, it's like Taoist stuff. The tarot that makes me think in the F game server, people were talking about. One poster sent me. It was a video about that Reddit discussion, the sorting wheel, and they were comparing it to. I don't know if you watched that, but it was like how a lot of people see this wheel in like out of body experiences, and the wheel, they call it wheel of life, like in Buddhism too. In tarot, I wasn't super familiar with the tarot interpretation of that. I was familiar with like the other religious stuff they were referencing, but yeah, that was interesting to hear how that's in tarot.
Yeah, tarot has a lot of different symbols and theology behind it. Because, just the way it works of 78 cards with 22 trump cards, it connects to dozens of different mystical systems. You can connect it to astrology, you can connect it to Kabbalah. I've seen people draw lines between it and, for instance, I Ching, or even Platonic philosophy. So, you can sort of read tarot into anything or vice versa. You could connect to something like Jungian psychology. So there are a lot of different motifs and symbols involved and different ways to read it. But the Wheel of Fortune is a very common idea. It's actually one of the cards. It's the 10th trump card.
Yeah, the Wheel
which
of Fortune.
Sort of looks. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And
that's fascinating.
basically, it does look at karma in many ways. It looks at karma
Mm-hmm.
in sort of how everything has a time to rise and a time to fall in life. And this is influenced by somebody's previous actions. I wouldn't say it's really the most karmic card of all, but it definitely, I think, does connect to a lot of Buddhist teachings, especially the idea of reincarnation.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I should look into tarot. I'm not as super familiar with that, but from what I know, it sounds fascinating.
Do recommend it? I mean, like, tarot decks are pretty cheap, and, you know, if nothing else, it's something cool to put on your shelf, good conversation starter. And if you get into it, it's really a good way to organize your thoughts and, you know, learn a bit of cash on the side if you're the kind of guy like me who will sit in a bar and read tarot cards for vodka shots.
Do you have a favorite brand of vodka or cigarettes for that matter? You said you a lot of nicotine and caffeine while you're writing your manuscript.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I'd say with cigarettes, probably Camels.
Oh yeah.
And just like, I like the Turkish tobacco, so.
You ever have Camel
You ever had a
Reds?
problem with Camel?
Oh, I love Camel. You ever have Camel Reds? That's like, it was like their old brand, but it was like too harsh. So like the regular brand, like just regular Camels or Camel Wides, I still love. But if I find Camel Reds, they're not as common, but they're really good. It's kind of like almost.
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely look out for it. I mean, I've never seen them down here.
Yeah.
But I'll keep those in mind if I'm ever in the States.
Yeah, I really like those, and I like Lucky Strikes. I guess I would compare it to Lucky Strikes actually, in that not necessarily that it's unfiltered, but like stronger, I guess. But
yeah,
I
it's
like
a more intense flavor.
I like Marlboro. I guess I like most cigarettes, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's very addictive, but it's, what's not to like?
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I'd say Camels. Either that or I just roll my own cigarettes. I mean, in SA, cigarettes they're not as expensive as like Europe or Australia, but, you know, just with the way exchange rates, purchasing power work, they add up quite quickly. So, you know, I mostly just roll my own, which is a lot cheaper.
I need to.
And like in terms of vodka or something, I'm not picky, but usually I'll just go for Smirnoff.
I need to teach myself how to do that someday. In all my years of smoking, I've tried to do it just a couple of times, and I did it and stuff, but not as fast as like people who've been doing that, like rolling their own for years. But yeah, I would save so much money if because in Chicago it's like ridiculously expensive for a pack of cigarettes compared to like in whatever certain suburbs in Illinois where it's not taxed as much and everything for cigarettes. But yeah, if you like cigarettes, I guess that's the smartest approach. Mm-hmm. Or pipe tobacco.
Yeah, I definitely say so. That's actually something I talked about in the books as well.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, because like I found a lot of it, at least building the world and building characterization, you know, for me is what are people consuming? Because like there's often the story, which I feel is very important, but to really paint the world, now I ask the question like, what did somebody have for dinner? Or, you know, what cigarettes do they smoke?
Yeah.
And you know, things like that also just build lore, because like, at least in South Africa, you know, during the COVID lockdowns, cigarettes were banned. There was no real health reason for it, but
really?
we found out later on the Minister of Health,
they banned
one
cigarettes?
of their family members.
During the lockdowns, they banned cigarettes in South Africa? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it was fascism. They banned cigarettes because the Minister of Health, one of their relatives, had a whole warehouse full of Marlboros
Wait,
and sold them at a huge markup, made a fantastic killing off it.
well, so wait, hold the phone. So like banned as in like you literally couldn't go out to the store and buy a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, you literally couldn't.
Holy shit. Man, if that happened in Chicago, I would be like protesting or like I would F. Gardner would not take that shit. Holy shit, I didn't know that South Africa outright banned cigarettes.
Yeah, no, imagine like, it's the lockdown, you have nowhere to go, they're not selling alcohol either, so you're just going cold turkey on everything. There's nowhere to go, there's no one to see, and the electricity is still shutting off like pods a day.
Alcohol?
So you're sitting there in the dark, and you don't even have a cigarette.
Man, I need to start watching South African news. I guess I didn't know this. That they banned alcohol too.
Yeah, it was banned during the lockdown.
That's that's dangerous. Like if someone's like an alcoholic, like you going cold turkey is dangerous. Like, they would force people to do that.
Yeah.
Then. Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, people are like brewing their own alcohol out of like pineapples and apples or something, or buying the cheapest, worst cigarettes smuggled in from Zimbabwe. So it was. Personally, I'm still furious at the government with the lockdown. I think it single-handedly crippled our economy, and we still haven't recovered. But I mean, on the other hand, it's a good story.
Dude, yeah, the lockdown stuff, like, I was already, like, neck deep in conspiracy theories, having been a flat earther for years and stuff, but, man, once that lockdown shit happened, that, like, ensured I was never gonna trust the government ever again. Like, I'm fully unvaccinated. I'm a pure blood. I respect if people, whatever, they have different opinions, because I believe in, like, okay, you could have your opinion, I could have mine, and we could function or whatever. But that lockdown shit, that ensured I was never going to trust whatever the status quo. Not that I did, but prior, but that really
that was like that burned the bridge.
Oh, I can't imagine if they banned cigarettes in Chicago. F. Gardner would lose his shit. I would not tolerate. I don't know. I'd run for mayor or something, and like, I would like.
Yeah, revenge of the crocodile.
I would stop it. Like, I would like make that my life mission if that happened. Having a cigarette is just like waking up in the morning, having the first cigarette and your cup of coffee. It's just like one of the best simple pleasures in life. So, man, I'm sorry you had to go through. I didn't know people in South Africa had it that bad, in the sense of like they were taking away your cigarettes during that. Fuck, man.
Yeah,
that crushes me.
Yeah, it's like
hear
that, and
Oh man.
And that was why I would say the book I wrote during lockdown wasn't good. It's because I didn't have any cigarettes. But that's my excuse.
Man, you blew my fucking mind. Like, I did not know South Africa outright banned cigarettes and booze during the pandemic. I thought that shit was bad here with social distancing and the mask and them trying to peer pressure the government or Big Pharma trying to peer pressure everybody into taking the vax. Oh, that makes me fucking mad just thinking about that they banning cigarettes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's...
I'm not even joking.
Yeah, it's just blatant corruption.
I'm not even joking around. F. Gardner would run for president or mayor of Chicago or some shit like that if all of a sudden cigarettes were banned, I would not tolerate that. That makes my fucking blood boil just hearing that. Like, I did not know South Africa did that, and man, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. You must have been jonesing like crazy.
Yeah, like I don't have it so bad because I don't really have an addictive personality, but yeah, dude, it was. Yeah, I saw people there who were like racked.
Well, jonesing as in, so like, I mean, not having a cigarette, like, it's not like, it's kind of like you don't have a cup of coffee, you're just on edge and stuff, like, and the government, like, trying to make people do that, just feel like shit. That's fucking awful.
Yeah, no, it really was a huge factor. I think that party is actually going to lose the national election partly because of that.
Well, I'm going to start paying attention to South African politics now. I had no idea that shit went down. That's fucking nuts. Man. Yeah. You've rendered F. Gardner speechless on that.
Like, honestly,
I did not know that.
Yeah, thanks for the interview at least. You know, it was great to have a discussion about this, and I'm definitely stoked for the next competition.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's been my pleasure, man. It's been great talking to you. Yeah. I'm surprised that this suddenly ended on us talking about politics, but that's cool. I'm down for talking about whatever. It's been my pleasure talking to you, chit-chatting about your book, your tarot card readings, and and I'm sorry to hear about that the lockdown shit.
Yeah, no, that's cigarettes.
I can't believe that.
It dealt sanity damage.
Okay, buddy. Well, you take care and smoke up in the meantime, I guess, in case they try to pull that shit again. Then stock up on them.
Yeah, no, I'm holding that stuff.
Okay, buddy. Well,
yeah, I just got a taste there. Just got a cotton. But yeah, man. See you around.
Yeah, cheers. Congratulations. You're the champion. You won the F Games.
Yep. Greatest ride in the world.
Okay, buddy. Peace out.
Yeah. See you around.
See ya. Peace out, everybody.